Welcome in, guys. Another edition of Right on Rangers. Tough loss tonight in Atlanta. Whew. Man, it was looking good there for a second. We'll get into all the details, into the box score. We'll talk you through some of the big moments in the game, all of that good stuff coming your way here in just a little bit. Of course, guys, here at Right on Rangers, we cover pretty much everything sports, but we put a little extra emphasis on the Rangers, especially during baseball season, and of course, all the other teams that we love from the great state of Texas. So we will be breaking this one down for you. It's tough to come on sometimes to these lives, man, after losses like this, where you just feel like the Rangers could have won this game. You know, you definitely had that feeling, I think, early on. Yes, some of the Braves hitters, especially Travis d'Arnaud, were killing it. But at the same time, this felt like a game that the Rangers could have won. It was within their grasp. And bullpen, I know that's going to be the big talk today. Bullpen lets them down. And we'll get into all that in just a second here. But let's start out with what I think is probably the biggest moment in the game. So, biggest moment in the game for me is the Lats at bat against d'Arnaud, where ultimately Lats gives up the grand slam. So, first of all, before that at bat had even happened, Lats had walked two guys in a row, had gotten an out, and then had given up a single. Then d'Arnaud comes up. For me, Lats has pitched well. No doubt so far in the season. He's had some good moments. He was 0 ERA for quite some time, but of late, I think he has come back down to earth a little bit. I really don't understand why Lats was allowed to pitch to d'Arnaud in that spot. First of all, it's a lefty-righty matchup. Not ideal. You know d'Arnaud has been the hottest Braves hitter all night long. Already had 2 home runs up to that point. I don't understand what the thought process was. Look, Lats was clearly trying to pitch him outside the entire time, and then, just leaked one out over the plate just a little bit. Wasn't center cut, but wasn't on the corner, and d'Arnaud takes him deep, and that's the difference in the ball game, the bottom of that 6th inning. And that's just such a big inning, too, because the Rangers had just tied the game off of the Dolly double. It was 3-3, and it's in that moment that you really need a shutdown inning. Just really need a shutdown inning. So I absolutely think that today was a matter of the Rangers being probably a little bit short on guys out in the pen. So Leclerc threw yesterday. Yates threw yesterday. If everybody is healthy, probably is a little bit of a different story in that 7th inning. Probably is a little bit of a different story. So in that 7th inning, if Leclerc and Yates are both able to throw, you probably see one of those guys instead of Lats. And from there, who knows? You probably see Robertson and then maybe Yates to close it out. But the fact that Yates had thrown 3 games in 4 days and he's kind of become the closer, you weren't going to see Yates. Robertson, I think, would have been an ideal guy to throw in the exact situation that the Rangers were in tonight against d'Arnaud. But I think they were going to use Robertson as a closer tonight. I don't think Yates was available. I don't think Leclerc was available tonight. I really think they were trying to kind of piece things together. And so Lats, I think, kind of had to throw that in. Now, that being said, I would have much rather d'Arnaud faced a righty instead of a lefty. Would have much rather somebody else out there to face d'Arnaud other than Lats in that spot. And especially after Lats had just walked 2 guys in a row and given up a base hit to, I believe, Michael Taylor. Why is Lats still in the game? I'd be interested, and I don't know if any of y'all hear the post-game comments from Bochy. I would love to hear what the thought process is. If I had to guess, he's probably going to say, trying to get some, innings from some guys. We've had a lot of guys pitch in the last several days up in Detroit. I'm almost 100% that was the thought process. Let's see if Lats can get us through this one. There were 2 outs, and then we get it to the 8th inning, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think Lats should have been pitching to d'Arnaud at all in that spot. after letting 3 of the last 4 batters on base. Then you let Latz face d'Arnaud, the best hitter on the Braves tonight, with the bases loaded. Just kind of a curious move to me, but I'm sure that they're going to chalk it up to lack of availability in the bullpen. So for the people that have been yelling loudly from the back about the bullpen and the middle relief, I think absolutely hear you loud and clear. I think the Rangers do have a problem bridging the game to the later innings right now. When everybody's healthy, I think you can go Leclerc, Robertson, Yates. You still need a guy 5th and 6th inning who can bridge it when the starter's not going very long in the game or going very deep in the game. But there is a problem right now with the middle relief. And I think if everybody was healthy in this Rangers bullpen, it might have been a different story tonight. But that's not how the baseball season is going to go. It's a 162-game season. You are going to have guys tired, and you've got to have guys that can step up and can hold or keep a lead in certain spots or keep the game close. And right now, I think the Rangers are lacking a little bit of depth in that area. They're lacking depth. They don't have enough guys that they can really, really count on in big spots, especially when you've got Yates tired, Leclerc tired. I mean, like I said, Yates had pitched 3 games in 4 days and had gone 4 outs back-to-back days. Yates was just not going to be available tonight. So it's unfortunate, especially after that big Dolly double that tied the game. And then really Semien coming out with the home run to lead things off. You really felt like it was going to be a good night tonight. Maybe Sale wasn't going to have his A game, but Sale looked pretty good. He made some hitters on our squad look pretty terrible. Corey Seager had a little bit of a rough night. He went 1 for 4 tonight, I believe. But we had a lot of offers. So Semien, Seager, Langford, Dolly all record hits, but 5 through 9. Actually, my bad. Leote, 1 for 3 tonight. 5 through 8 hitters, though, do not record a hit. Hine goes over. Duran over. Smith over with a walk. And then Wenzel. Wenzel goes over as well. Still hitless. I think Wenzel's days are numbered on the big league squad, at least for now. I mean, I'm not saying that he's never going to get a shot again, but Wenzel looks in over his head. And I feel bad for the guy. I've talked about how on previous lives with Wenzel, these guys coming up from AAA, they only get so many opportunities, and you want to see them do well because you truly don't know when they're going to be back up in the big leagues again. So for me, I think Wenzel needs to probably be done with his ride getting starts. I think they can go with literally anybody else. I'd rather see Jared Walsh, lefty, than Wenzel at this point. Play Duran at third, put Walsh at first. It's probably not going to go amazing, but Wenzel's giving you absolutely zero right now. He didn't look good to me in really any of the at-bats tonight. And I know that he's a rookie. I know that he's fresh up from AAA, but he's in over his head. And I think he's almost certainly going to be going down when Nate Lowe comes back. Heard some rumblings Nate Lowe might be back this weekend. It was said that he wasn't coming back this weekend, but I did read a couple of tweets, if they're called that anymore, from Evan Grant, obviously big-time Dallas Morning News Rangers reporter. And he said that Nate Lowe possibly could be back this weekend. If you see that, Wenzel is almost certainly going down to AAA, and that's where he needs to go. Get him his confidence back. Hopefully he starts hitting well in AAA, and he can come back up at another time and get another opportunity. But Wenzel looks pretty lost out there right now. And Sale is a tough pitcher. He's got that funky delivery. He is a very good quality pitcher. And it seems like the Braves have maybe unlocked something in him. He had some rough years with Boston kind of on the back end. Obviously was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball for a certain stretch of time, but hadn't looked like himself the past couple of years in Boston. But perhaps he's going to have a little resurgence with the Braves. Isn't that just what they need? Just what they need. Another starter, older guy finding his groove and becoming a dominant starting pitcher again. Hey, it happens. It's great when it happens for your team, but the Braves, man, they've already got a great squad, 13-5 on the year, and now you're adding Chris Sale to that rotation pitching well. That's dangerous. So tough for the Rangers tonight. Really tough loss, thought that they might be able to pull it out. Kind of felt like a quintessential Rangers game, at least for this season so far. We get the early homer from Simi. The bats kind of go quiet. Then you had that big double from Dolly, and you thought maybe, just maybe, we were going to catch fire at the end and win that game. But without everybody available tonight, it wasn't going to be easy to get Atlanta to go down without a fight, because we were going to be needing to rely on guys like Latz, guys like Wynn and Pruitt to get through tonight. I just don't think we had a lot of guys, at least a lot of our top guys available. Don't think Yates was going to be available tonight. 3 games in 4 days for him. Leclerc's been logging some innings. He logged, 2 innings, and then another inning yesterday in that game against Detroit in the final game. So Leclerc's thrown 3 innings in 3 days, so he wasn't available either. It was going to be a tough night in the bullpen. But I think the Rangers are going to get some depth in the pen once we get some starters back. Scherzer looks like he's going to be back in May. That'll provide some bullpen depth. You'll probably, I think, see Heaney go to the bullpen. That's my guess. Heaney actually, let's give him some credit. We kind of ragged on him. I think collectively as Rangers fans, we've kind of ragged a little bit on Heaney. And he goes 5 innings tonight, 2 walks, 3 hits. So 5 base runners in 5 innings, 5 Ks. Yes, he does give up the 2 home runs to d'Arnaud. Okay, but at the same time, limits the damage. And I think he turned in a pretty quality performance tonight. At least Andrew Heaney standards, right? Clearly, we would love if he could go 7, 1 or 2 runs allowed. But for Andrew Heaney standards, not bad. Getting 5 innings from him, 3 hits, like I said, 2 walks. I'll take that from him. But I think he's probably going to find himself in the bullpen, especially with Brock Burke injured. Rangers really lack a lefty option. Now you've got Latz not looking very good. Look, it's baseball. Things can change quickly, but you need a lefty option. I think Heaney is going to be headed to the pen just to give them another guy that can come in relief and get some tough lefty hitters up and get them out. So we'll see what happens with Heaney when Scherzer comes back, when Bradford comes back even. I don't know. But Heaney definitely did bounce back. And this Braves offense is no joke. So, let's give him a little bit of credit. This isn't an easy offense to go through and pitch 5 innings strong and only give up 3 runs. It's just not. When you got Acuna, you got Riley, Olsen, Ozuna is super hot right now. d'Arnaud coming out of nowhere with the 3 homer games, 6 RBI. I mean, this is a pretty stacked Braves lineup. The Braves kind of remind me of Houston, honestly, with the lineup that Houston has. It's like there's really not a huge weak spot. For Houston last year, it was Maldonado, the catcher, but that was really about it. It felt like everybody in that Houston lineup last year in the ALCS was going to give you a challenge. Braves kind of feel the same way to me. Up and down, I don't really see a weak spot, a spot where you can really take a breather. I mean, maybe Fletcher, the second baseman, right? Maybe him. But nevertheless, 1 through 8 to me for the Braves, you got to be careful. You just can't take any at-bats off against them. So I give credit to Heaney tonight. I did not expect him to pitch this well. I said it on the live yesterday. I felt like this was going to be a game that the Rangers were going to have a tough time winning. It was really the first time this season I felt that way. I know I'm a homer. You guys, we're all Rangers fans here for the most part. Maybe we got a couple of haters tuning in. Who knows? But most of us are Rangers fans in here. And that, we can all be a little biased. But honestly, every other game 1 through 20, this was game 21, I really felt going into every game 1 through 20 up to this game that we had a really legitimate shot to win it. I could really sit there and say, hey, I could see us winning this ball game. Tonight, and I said it yesterday, I really did feel like this was going to be a tough game to win. Now, obviously, we were competitive in this game up until the bottom of the 6th inning. d'Arnaud hits the grand slam, and it gets a little bit away from us. But I definitely feel like moving forward, Saturday's game, Sunday's game, I feel like we're on an even playing field again. I feel like the Rangers have a very good shot to win the game tomorrow with Evo pitching. And then Sunday, are we back to Dunning? Is that what we're doing? I'm going to check this out as we go. While I'm talking to you guys, we'll run through a couple of other things too, kind of go around the AL West like we normally do as well. But I think with the pitchers that we have going the next couple of days, I think we've got a very solid shot to get a couple of wins. It's always nice when you get that first one. Let's be honest. It always is nice. But I still feel like we've got a very good chance to still win this series. Lorenzen pitching on Sunday, and he looked pretty good against Detroit. Not sure what we're going to get out of him. We'll get a nice performance out of Evo, I think, tomorrow. But Lorenzen, a little bit of a question mark. That being said, toughest pitcher, I think, is going to be Morton tomorrow for us. I think the Braves are throwing a rookie who's looked pretty good so far, but I think has only had one start in the season. Vines, is it? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think he's had one start, looked pretty good in the start, but look, when you have a young guy throwing, you never know from game to game. So I think the Rangers have a good shot to still take 2 out of 3 in this series, especially with Evo going tomorrow, even up the series at 1 apiece, and then go take that third one. Sunday Night Baseball, by the way. I just saw that. Sunday Night Baseball, Rangers, Braves, that's always fun. I always love seeing the Rangers in a primetime spot. So glad to see they'll be on ESPN Sunday night playing the Braves, Lorenzen versus Vines from what it looks like. So that'll be fun. So tomorrow, by the way, the matchup, again, Evo versus Morton. We're going to check out some of the matchups again, see what the career numbers are for each squad against both those guys. And then we'll start kind of looking around the AL West, seeing what other teams are doing tonight, and then we'll start wrapping things up. So on the Braves side, Evo has faced these guys quite a bit. A lot of guys with some at-bats against Evo. Arcia is looks like 2 for 5. Acuna's 1 for 5 with a home run. We've got Fletcher 2 for 6, and then we've got some pretty bad numbers as well. Kelenic 0 for 8. Harris is 0 for 3. Olsen is 2 for 10. Ozuna 2 for 6 against Evo. Riley 2 for 6. I don't know. It looks like Evo's going to have a little bit of a challenge on his hands. There are some guys that see him well, but from game to game, you never can tell. And Evo, just a gritty pitcher. He's going to give you a good quality performance. On the other side, Texas against Morton. We have Semien with 21 at-bats, hitting 381 against Morton. So Simi, I look for him to continue to stay hot. This is kind of what he does sometimes. Simi just goes on these tears. We did say Simi home run today. So look, little pat on the back. We like to celebrate the wins around here. And in our predictions that we do in every reel, every short before the game, we don't always get them right. So when Simi comes out and hits that bomb, things were looking pretty promising with my predictions. But, of course, the rest of the game unfolded as it did. But I look for Semien to continue to stay hot. When that guy gets on a tear, he usually stays on it for a little while. He looks like he's really seeing the ball well right now. And I definitely feel confident Simi is going to continue to play well for us in this series. Looking at some of the other guys as well, looks like we've got Jankowski with some ABs. We'll see if he gets some time. It seems like they've really just settled on giving Leote the primary innings, primary starts there. Looked like maybe we were going to do some platooning there for a second with Jankowski and Leote, but I think Leote has, at least in the coach's mind, solidified himself a little bit in that lineup. And beyond that, looks like Smith is 1 for 3. Leote's 1 for 3 against Morton. Let's look at what Seager's done. Seager 0 for 2 in his career against Morton, so hasn't seen him very much. Doley's 0 for 3. Duran's 0 for 3. Kisner, I don't think he's going to get a start tomorrow, but he's 1 for 2 with the home run for what it's worth. So, look, not a ton of at-bats. Semien with 21, probably the most. So I look for Semien to continue to have a nice day tomorrow and hopefully the rest of the series. And, fingers crossed we get back on track. But Simi is off to an amazing start. Yeah, let me check the comments out. I'm a little behind. I know I kind of got going on a couple of different things there. But let me say what's up to a couple of people. Gav, if you're still there, man, thanks for the comment. Thanks for tuning in. What's going on? And then I know I got a couple people on Facebook as well. Scott, what's up, bud? Mike, good to see you again. David, showing a couple of different comments here. Yeah, you don't even want to get me started on the on the Apple TV Plus deal. You know, we all find our ways to watch the game nonetheless, but I am really ready for there to be a better system with televising baseball games. That's all I'll say. The Apple TV broadcast is actually pretty solid. I don't have any problem with it. I mean, could I get nitpicky? Sure, but as a whole, is it good? Yeah. The Apple TV broadcast is good. When I've gone out and watched it at different places, the quality is really high. I feel like Apple TV is probably just from like a clarity, a quality perspective. Apple TV is probably one of the most clear, high definition broadcasts I've ever seen. At least what was coming through on my end. Maybe there's some other opinions out there on that, but Apple TV, I think, has a very, very high definition HD clear picture. So, look, I'm not complaining about the Apple TV broadcast itself. It's just the nature of it. We don't need to have games on all of these different platforms, especially for DFW fans. That's my thing. I mean, look, I don't live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I did for many years. But living out here in Vegas, I understand that I'm not always going to have access to every game. I still think if you pay the MLB TV subscription, you should be able to watch any game that you want at any time. But I understand fans outside of DFW maybe having to miss a game or two here or there, but I think local fans should always have access. Just my opinion. Couple other things. Simi, yep, off to an amazing start. Absolutely. And it looks like he's on one of his tears right now. Rangers fans that have been watching Simi, you know what I'm talking about. He does have his times where he's not looking great at the plate. I don't want to say he's a streaky player. I don't really feel that way about him. It's just my feel for who he is as a player. But I will say when he gets hot, he usually stays hot for a little bit of an extended period of time. But he does have some moments where you're worried about him and you start thinking, man, does this guy need to be leading off our order? But then you see games like tonight and the past games that he's had, and it's like, oh, absolutely. So I think Simi's going to stay hot. And I think hopefully we'll continue to get production out of him. And maybe, just maybe, some of the other guys in the lineup can come along for the ride too tomorrow against Morton and then against Vines on Sunday. Of course, the two Brave starters. So let's take a look as we wrap up here, guys. And by the way, if y'all have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to throw out there, any questions, I'll be happy to take a look before we get off here tonight. But as we look around the league, looks like we've got, let me see here. Angels lose, always helpful. 7-1 loss to the Reds tonight. Astros beat the Nats, but you know what? That's okay because the Astros are pretty much the bottom dwellers of the AL West right now. So good to say that, by the way. The Athletics lose 10-2, and the Mariners game was postponed. So Astros win, everybody else loses, Mariners don't play. So as we like to say, good day to lose for the Rangers. I mean, if you're going to say a good day to lose, at least you can say it with pretty much every other team in the AL West minus Houston losing. So let's take a look at the standings right now. I believe the Rangers still are going to be holding at least a game lead. I think losing tonight, the Rangers actually allow Seattle to gain a game just by nature of them not playing. So, yep, Rangers are up on the Mariners 1 game. They're up on the Angels 1.5 games, 2.5 on the Athletics, and 4 games up on the Stros. So the Rangers are picking good spots to drop games. It's just working out that way. I mean, we know how quickly it can go the other way, right? It can go where you're losing and then the teams behind you are just winning every time you lose. So the Rangers have had some good fortune here, losing on days where the other teams in the division are also taking some losses. So, yeah, good stuff from the AL West, right? Mike, I totally agree. I said before the game today, and I said it last night, didn't feel confident for the first time this season, really, I mean, I know maybe that seems not realistic, but honestly, game 1 through 20 felt really good about the Rangers' chances in really every game so far. This was a game where I said to myself, this is going to be a tough game for us to win. Heaney, who hasn't looked sharp, who did, I think, look pretty sharp tonight. He did throw 30 pitches in the first inning, but after that, I think you saw him even out a little bit. Gave up a couple home runs to d'Arnaud, obviously, but look, by Andrew Heaney standards, this was a good start. But I agree, the pitching matchup was not favorable. Sale, a veteran pitcher, we know that he was one of the best pitchers in this league for an extended period of time, for like a 4 or 5 year stretch there. So look, I'm not surprised that Sale had a good game, although was hopeful when Simi dropped that bomb to lead off the game that it was going to be an offensive night for the Rangers. But you know what? It happens that way. So I feel better about the pitching matchups moving forward. I think the Rangers have a very good shot to win game 2 and game 3 of this series. And then a very well-deserved off day on Monday. I'm sure they're really looking forward to that. And then getting back home as well, getting some home cooking. This has been a little bit of a brutal stretch for the Rangers. We talked about it. It's been a little bit brutal. You had the Astros in Houston. Then you go on the 4-game trip to Detroit. Then you go on this 3-game trip to Atlanta. All winning teams, right? Detroit's a winning team. Houston, I mean, look, they're a losing team right now. The Astros, yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's get that up there. The Astros just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Houston is a better team than 7-14. I mean, we all know that. They just got Verlander back tonight. Verlander pitches a quality start in his return after being injured. So we know the Astros are going to come around. But look, Rangers, 3 road series in a row against very good competition. They're going to enjoy that day off on Monday. I really, really hope that they can get back to their winning ways tomorrow and Sunday and then take that into the homestand. Yeah, the pen's a problem. Although, Mike, we were talking earlier, I really do think that when we get some starters back, it's kind of going to be, what's the expression? Like addition by subtraction, right? So we're going to subtract from the starting rotation, right? Heaney's probably going to go to the bullpen when Scherzer comes back. We're going to get Bradford back. We're going to get Molly back. And then some of these starting rotation guys are going to go to the pen. Look, is that going to translate to, having some solid bridge guys to the 8th and the 9th inning? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we don't know how Heaney is going to do in the bullpen. We don't know how some of those other starters, how some of the other current starters are going to do in the pen. But I will say the Rangers are going to get some help in the pen when Scherzer, when Molly get healthy. So we'll see what happens there. I really think that it's going to make a difference, though. Getting Heaney out in the pen, really the only lefty option we have right now is Latz. I mean, that's not good. You got to get another lefty option in there. I'm sure Heaney's probably on his way to the pen. He would have to pitch absolutely lights out his next 2 starts. We're talking 7, 8 innings, right? And 1 or 2 runs. He would have to just look absolutely filthy. We're talking about Heaney for the Rangers to keep him in the starting rotation. I do think that Gray's stuff could play very well in the pen. Now, Gray's looked really good the last 2 starts. So the Rangers will have some tough decisions to make. So you've got right now, I'm just going off the top of my head, so forgive me if I blank, but you've got Evo, right? You've got Dunning, you've got Bradford. Scherzer's going to be coming back, right? You've got Heaney, you've got Gray. You're going to have to make some decisions, some tough decisions. So I'm very curious to see what the Rangers do. I don't know. I think Heaney is probably a definite going to the bullpen just because the Rangers need another lefty out there. Latz, I think, kind of proved tonight that the start to his season, maybe a little bit of fool's gold. You also have to consider with Latz, the book probably wasn't quite out on him at the beginning of this year, but now that you're 20 games in, everybody's got tape on you. If you pitch 7 or 8 innings, everybody's got tape on you. So you know that teams are going to start adjusting to some of the Rangers relievers. Latz was a guy that had a 0 ERA through his first 5 or 6 games, but he's gotten tagged a little bit, and I think it's just a matter of the book is out on him a little bit. Now, is Latz going to make adjustments? Hopefully Maddox and the pitching staff, the pitching coordinators will help him make some adjustments. But right now, I think the book's out on him a little bit. We'll see if he can play the chess game and get locked back in like he was at the beginning of the season. But the Rangers need another lefty option. It can't just be Latz. And look, let's be real. Even when Brock Burke comes back from his idiotic injury, we need somebody better than Brock Burke as our other lefty option. So the Chapman acquisition, although I know Chapman drove a lot of people nuts last year, myself included at times, they needed that. They needed a very dominant, or at least potential to be dominant, left-handed pitcher. We're lacking that right now. Maybe Heaney fills that gap. Maybe he doesn't. I think the Rangers might be on the lookout for some bullpen help, though, especially as we get to the middle of the season. I don't think the Rangers are going to make any trades offensively, but I could very, very much see the Rangers adding some bullpen help. Yeah, the Grand Slam, we talked about that. My big thing with the Grand Slam was Latz had already, in that inning, given up either a walk or a hit to 3 out of the last 4 hitters. And you could tell that Latz was trying to paint the outside corner on d'Arnaud, but you leaked one out just a little bit, kind of an out middle pitch. It wasn't on the corner. It wasn't down the middle. It was kind of right in between. And when a guy is swinging it as well as d'Arnaud was tonight, it's too close. I think that's really all it comes down to. I don't think that they should have pitched Latz at all in that spot. First of all, lefty-righty. Second of all, Latz has allowed the guys to get on base in 3 out of the last 4 at-bats, 2 walks, and then a single. Just not ideal. I really wish they would have gone to a righty in that spot. But the reality is we were short on pitchers tonight, right? We didn't have Yates available. And these things don't get said, but you just got to know it. Yates had pitched 4 outs 2 days in a row. Leclerc 3 innings in the last 3 days. We didn't have a lot of options. Robertson was very clearly going to be your save guy tonight if we would have gotten into that situation at all. So I think that the Rangers were just short on arms tonight, and Bochy, Maddox were just praying Latz could get through that d'Arnaud at bat. And I believe there were 2 outs when that at bat happened. So if, Latz can get out of that, then you get to the 8th and you see what happens. But I think that he should have gotten pulled. I would have rather seen Cole Winn go up against d'Arnaud in that spot. Honestly, I would have rather seen Cole Winn righty on righty, and you just live with whatever you get there. I mean, just give me a righty on righty matchup. That's my takeaway. All right, guys, we're going to start wrapping things up here. Please know how much we appreciate all y'all tuning in. We'll get into the matchup for tomorrow in the reel that we put out. Probably I'll get that in, I don't know, maybe late Saturday morning, midday, something like that. And then we'll try and go live after each one of these games. I might try and hop on in like the 8th or 9th inning of one of these games and kind of walk you guys through the last 2 innings. That's always fun, especially when it's against a really elite team like the Braves. I don't know. It's fun when you're playing these top teams. It sucks to lose. I mean, it always does. It doesn't matter who you're playing, but it is fun when you get to go toe-to-toe with some of these really, really quality teams. It's a great measuring stick, and I think the Rangers can hang, but just a tough night for them. But they'll be back tomorrow. Evo on the bump. Really looking forward to seeing him go back out there, bounce back after I think he gave up 5 earned runs in his last start. It was kind of a gutsy performance, but I think he ended up still going 6 strong. But I'm looking forward to him bouncing back. Should be a good start from him, I'm thinking. Well, all right, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Like, share, and follow along with us in our challenge that we're doing. Of course, y'all know, betting 1 cent on every single Facebook follower that we have towards Texas Rangers money line. Tonight would have been a great night to cash. I think the Rangers were plus 175, so you're almost making 2-1 tonight on your bet, but it was not meant to be. It's all right. We're back tomorrow. I think the Rangers are going to be underdogs in most of the games in this series, if I had to guess. So anyways, we'll be back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And as we always say, God bless and go Rangers. Y'all have a great Friday. Have a good weekend ahead. See y'all.